respecting chairperson and personalities on the dais and learned friends over here. I would like to humbly present the topic religion and racism. And I also extend my profound thanks to the organizer who kindly adjust my time today. As I was reading the newspaper in the morning, the coverage, the media did of what has gone yesterday here was very good, very analytically and very forcefully they put, especially Well and Bob and Three Praise and some of the Manipuri vernacular. That is excellent job, and I could learn things what has been discussed yesterday, and that was good. And I'll try to deliberate the topic religion and racism in a very brief way. I don't believe that it will be a scholarly presentation, but a layman's presentation. Before I come to the paper, I like to say that I have traveled quite a lot in India since 1975. I was in Bangalore 75 to 83, and 1985 till last July, I was with one of the national organizations traveling throughout India, all over. So as a Northeast person, I know how those people who are not of the Northeast think and rather treat the Northeast people in many occasions. Not all the people, not all of them, but most of the time people thought that we are not from this India, especially in early, late 70s and early 80s. When we go down to the street of Bangalore or other parts of the India, especially in the rural area, they thought the Chinese are coming. And they used to say that. And it was during 1975, the Bruce Lee film Enter the Dragon was very famous in Bangalore. People were in queue more than 1 kilometer just to get ticket in Brigade Road and this Mahatma Gandhi Road. You know, at that time, any one of us going out, and especially to me, they thought that Chinese is coming, Bruce Lee is coming. They never thought that we were from India. And it is also very funny thing that whenever we go toward the east, we are never, people never believe that we are from India again. And they try to talk in their language in Thai, Cambodia, this part of the Thailand, and other part of like in Philippines. People thought that we are one of them. They never believed that we are from India. They say, is there a place in India where Mongoloid lives? Their question. That is also true. So what I am going to share now, if there is anything to, improve, that is welcome. I will not stand to what I am going to say. I stand here subject to correction. Before that also I would like to say, as any person, are we really free from racist attitude? People gather around here, are we really sublime and refined ones to speak of racism? I don't believe that I am fully qualified to speak on racism. I can talk about racism, and that the very saying will be, I think, supplemented in the course of my talk here. No true religion in the world, I believe, will endorse racism or racial discrimination. Racism is void of justice and equality, whereas all religion stands for justice, equality, and righteousness. They may have different practice and different beliefs, but they all emphasize on justice, truth, equality, and righteousness. And I mean, all these words are against racism, especially dharma, adharma. Anything which is not of dharma is adharma. So, the racist is very much fundamentally against the dharma, and it becomes adharma. So let me not go to the religion tab because it will go to many things. But I'll present from a point of Christian perspective, a view of that. Let me just also say religion in a simple, understandable way. It is a belief in a supreme being, God or gods, and a particular system of faith and worship, a pursuit or interest followed with devotion. I paraphrase from the Reader Digest Great Dictionary found in page 822. There are many other complex and a lighter form of definition, but I will not go to it. And we all know at least what is religion. So we should not go to the extent of deliberating longer there. And racism, I like to deal with this, and people have done yesterday quite a lot. And I'll try to read one or two sentences from Wikipedia. I took out from there because I found that they have covered the best way, and I'll not go to the extent of all that, but I'll read 2-3 paragraphs from there. In the 19th century, many scientists subscribed to the simple belief that human populations are divided into separate races. This was often used to justify the belief that some races were inferior to others, and that differential treatment was consequently justified. Such theories are generally termed scientific racism, when the practice of treating certain groups preferentially or denying rights or benefits to certain groups based on racial characteristics is institutionalized. It is termed institutional racism. And many, I'll skip and I'll read little bit, another paragraph, little bit on the dictionary meaning. However, this distribution of meanings between the two terms used to be precisely inverse at the time they were coined. The Oxford English Dictionary defined racialism as belief in the superiority of a particular race and gives a 1907 quote as the first recorded use. The shortened term racism did not appear in the English language until the 1930s. It was first defined by the OED, that is the Oxford English Dictionary, and the theory that distinctive human characteristics and abilities are determined by race, which gives 1936 as the first recorded use. Additionally, the OED record racism as a synonym of racialism, belief in the superiority of a particular race. By the end of World War II, racism had acquired the same supremacist connotations former associated with racialism. Racism now implied racial discrimination, racial supremacism, and a harmful intent. This is what I think most, I don't need to read, I think, but let me read again another portion. The UN does not define racism. However, it does define racial discrimination. According to the United Nations Convention, elimination of all forms of racial discrimination. The term racial discrimination shall mean any distinction, exclusion, restriction, or preference based on race, color, descent, or national or ethnic origin that has the purpose or effect of nullifying or impairing the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise on an equal footing of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, or any other field of public life. I think this, yesterday was also discussed. so I'll not go to the extent again. I'll come to the Christian faith and how it stands with regard to racism. And I'll take out both from Catholic and Protestant view. And I would like to begin with the Catholics, Pope John Paul II's statement. And here he profoundly expounds what we human beings are. Man's creation by God in his own image confers upon every human person as eminent dignity. It also postulates the fundamental equality of all human beings. For the Church, this equality, which is rooted in man's being, acquires the dimension of an altogether special brotherhood throughout the incarnation of Son of God. In the redemption effected by Jesus Christ, the Church sees a further basis of the rights and duties of the human person. Hence, every form of discrimination based on race is absolutely unacceptable. And it goes on to say, and their reaction during the Nazi and other, when such, racism and its war was going on, I would like to read that portion. Then, the Church did not hesitate to raise her voice. Pope Pius XI clearly condemned Nazi doctrine in his book, Mit Brandenburger Sorge, stating in particular, whosoever takes race or the people of the state or any other basic value of human community in order to withdraw them from their scale of values and deify them through an idolatrous cult, overturns and falsifies the order of things created and established by God. On the April 13, 1930, the Pope had the Sacred Congregation for Seminaries and University addressed a letter to all rectors and deans of faculty, asking all professors of theology to refute, using the method proper to its discipline, the scientific pseudo-truths with which Nazism justified its racist ideologies. And so on. They in their time, Nazis and Nazism was really refuted and condemned by the Church, Catholic Church. And it is found, the length of the article is found, the Church and racism toward a more fraternal society, Pontifical Commission Justice and Peace 1997, www.ewtn.com, and there you will find the length of it. And I'll go now for Protestant, especially from Baptist point of view. And here is Reverend Baishamot. If you like to supplement from any other angle, I will welcome, but I am reading from Baptist. Reverend, you'll forgive me for not joining other parts. But let me read. Baptist World Alliance, in their report of Special Commission Baptist Against Racism, Harare, Zimbabwe, August 1993, had strongly confirmed their position against racism. A few statements and important contents are as given here and there. Most fair-minded people regard racism as sin, and yet most of us, at least to some extent, guilty of racism. We all need special grace, positive resolve, and a specific prayer if we are to be truly of this prejudice. Few, if any, Christian churches trust up more understanding opponents of racism than have the Baptists, Martin Luther King Jr. and Jimmy Carter being but two well-known persons among thousands who have fought for equality of all people and races. We need to find practical expressions that will show an unbelieving world that Baptist Christians truly love one another and all people. That is Tony Cupid in his preamble, page 4. Racism is sin. It is idolatry, for it elevates race to the highest value, which should be reserved only for God. It is a rejection of the essential dignity of all people. and is in opposition to the good news of salvation in Jesus Christ. In their report purpose statement, page 5. And he has given land of the country, list of the country where war is going on today, and some he put on under Africa, Asia, Caribbean, Europe, Middle East, North America, Central and South America, and so on. And those I will skip through. And today, in Europe also it is going on, and in Middle East it is all the more in our news today. Jews, Palestinian, Iraq, Iraqis, Kurds, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Egypt, etc. Arab Jews is going on. An intensive sociological study of every country would reveal a tragic history of racism. It is indicative of the tribal spirit that prevails our whole community. When one group thinks it is better than the other, wars, prejudice, racial slurs, and economic deprivation takes place. The Christian gospel must and does speak of this dilemma. In Jesus Christ, the wall of hostility has been broken down, and now we have a new humanity where men and women are no longer judged by their skin, religion, culture, language, but by the equality of their relationship to God and humanity. This is the Christian, Dental Laws General Secretary BWA in page 13 of their report. And he said, very emphasizing manner, the Christian faith has no other choice than to fight all forms of racial discrimination. And I'd like to skip few due to the time. And the paper will be here if anyone would like to have a look or the reference. So I'll not go all the details of this paper. Lastly, their resolution I would like to read. The Baptist World Alliance opposes all forms of racism, overt and covert. It will speak out against and actively oppose any forms of racism and any attitude that suggests worth or merit in one group of persons, ethnic or otherwise, over against another. It will urge all its member bodies to work to eradicate racism everywhere. And they resolve, we will announce courageously God's new and true humanity, where the dignity and value of every person is affirmed and celebrated. And I will not also read all their resolve, but last one I will read. We acknowledge that racism is rooted in the sinfulness of humankind and is evident where a group or groups of people assert that by heredity and by nature they are superior to the rest of humanity, oppress others through economic and political means to find security and self-acceptance, privilege and power, project onto another group or groups their own anger, hostility, hatred and failures in order to rationalize feelings of superiority. In their report page 46. So about the Christian and racism, and beside religion and racism in general, I would like to say that Christian never stand for racism. It always is against, because the very words of Jesus Christ, especially love your neighbor as you like to be loved yourself, is enough. Love your neighbor as yourself. And I will not go to other doctrines like that. There is neither Jews nor Greek in Christ, and we are one. Like that, too many things are here. I will not go for those scriptural citation. It is enough. So, but in India, the problem is whether racism is really open or not. And you must have deliberated yesterday very profoundly. I would like to say that it is not really, challengeable form of challengeable way. What I would like to say, it is not having evidence enough to fight legally, but every indication of this racialism is their racist attitude is there towards Northeast people and the tribals, Dalits in India, and not only in Northeast and other parts of India. And I would like to read this. Yesterday I was requesting to circulate one newspaper. Boypu, you had distributed yesterday. No, I would just like to show. It's very recent from the Hindu.
So Meitei, 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'll conclude, sir. I know the time is gone, but I usually talk whole day in the seminars. Sorry. Yesterday I was giving to Boypu one of the newspaper that Hindu is with you. Yeah. Yeah. From there, I am quoting. Sir, please extend me 2 more minutes to 3. 5, I'll conclude. To recognize, this is written in connection with the Loitam research by Mr. Jilangamba, and I'd like to quote what he concluded with that article. To recognize that racism exists in this country, that is India, and that many unintended action might emanate from racism can be a good place to start fighting the problem. To be oblivious of these issues or to deny its existence is to be complicit in the discriminatory regime. Also, the reason for fighting against racism is not because it is practiced against our own citizens, but because it is wrong, regardless of whether the victims of racism are citizens of the country or not. One way to be critical of racism is to recognize and make visible and the presence of racism rather than merely resorting to legalistic means to curb this discrimination. This is on the Hindu, 29th May 2012. It is, the paper is with us here, and if anybody like to have, that will be circulated, I believe. Sirs could take up strong measure to tackle racism in India and elsewhere if there are enough incidents and evidences. In case of Northeast India, it is very difficult to prove and go ahead as of now. And a lot of awareness in this line could be done to and along with such bodies for a meaningful partnership in future in this adventure. Here it is good to draw concluding line of the day, of the talk. But I like to say that the time is very brief. Usually I speak whole day, and that is not enough extended the days and days. But today it is not the time. So thank you, sir, and for listening to me. And please reflect upon when the discussion hour comes. Thank you very much. Thank you.